Alright guys, so I'm doing a bit of work on this roving here, and I wasn't really going to film this at first because it's complicated to get the whole truck in frame and get everything, right. I put in a Turtle Racing clutch assembly, which I did film, but there's so much, it was like 45 minutes of me installing this because I had never done it before, right? So it's one of those things where even edited down, it would still be a long video, way too long to take out the amount of screws involved and do this. But once I got everything aligned right and did everything I needed to do, it was pretty simple to get all that installed. The one thing that did happen was I ordered this off of DDM, like most of the parts for this truck, and this Turtle Racing clutch carrier here is supposed to be a vented clutch carrier. So in the screenshots you can see where they've got a mill out here on this side and on this side. And that allows all your clutch debris and stuff to fall out as well as heat. Well, this one does not have that. And I think what happened was just part numbers got mixed up. This is what I ordered, but I think it's an old style one, so I think they gave me new old stock. So yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be in here replacing a clutch eventually anyways, and the only thing I worry about is heat and my crank bearing back there. I don't want any issues with that, but I mean, whatever. Alright, so what we have here is a Scorpion front stiffening plate. So here's what I've done. If you're running a normal skid plate, it's kind of the same concept, except the normal plate only has 2 bolts, and then this right here is solid, and it clips in on your bottom. You just take out these front 2 screws. There's 2 screws up top here that hold onto your bumper, and then you slide it back and pull it off, and it'll expose these other 2 screws. Alright, it is very simple, especially when you have the right tools, and I don't have the right tools. These are masonry bits. They are not meant for metal. And these are bread points, which are most likely, I mean, I'm not a drill bit expert, I don't know much about them. And they got a picture of wood right there, so these are probably for wood. Yep. So we are going to total some drill bits today because this is not what neither one of these are meant for, but it's all I could find. So that sucks, but that's how it is. So what I've done is bolted on this Scorpion plate right here. And these Rovin chassis, they are marked, pre-drilled to accept Rovin's skid plate, but they do not accept your other aftermarket skid plates. So all you do is you bolt this chassis on, and then you take your drill bit or a marker or anything, as long as your chassis is not all scratched up like it is here. You put 2 marks there, you take this back off, and then you drill. You have to be careful of what's underneath this. You don't want to drill through any important pieces, but I think we're good. So we're going to try these brad points first, and this does come with hardware and an instructions sheet. So maybe it'll tell me what size drill bit I need to use. Hardware included. Install the... we're not using red Loctite, that's for sure. Nylock nuts. Alright, used with the Scorpion Unlimited chassis. Okay, alright, interesting. I don't see anywhere where it tells me what size drill bit to use. So what we're going to do is... Really? That's odd they would only send me 1 long bolt. Oh dang. Alright, well screw it. Looks like we're using old hardware. Because there is no way that I can use those particular bolts. And like none of those are long enough to make it through this front section up here. So that kind of sucks. I wonder if that's a packaging issue or... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh wait, no, those are for nylon bolts. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we are missing one. Interesting. Okay, supposed to be 6 bolts in there. There's only 5, so that's why we're missing another long one. All right, well that's odd. So we're just going to reuse stock hardware, guys. Where are my other 2 long bolts at? Did I put them in here? These are all for my cage. Where did my other long bolts go? This is useless to me. There's one. All right. So if you're wondering why I'm using one long one, it's because one of my holes here are already stripped out, so I'm putting a nut on the back of it. This nut right here, actually. So that's what that's because of. It's just, you know, a way to get by while, you know. Eventually I will be upgrading this chassis, but I don't know what to. Thinking IRC, or maybe since I'm already using a Scorpion plate, I'll put a Scorpion chassis on it. But I'm going to need this bolt here. So I know, actually, this kit isn't completely useless to me. Come on. Open up. There we go. Alright. Scoot all of my other stuff out. Okay, so we are going to be using 2 bolts. These right here are what hold your plate right here. You bolt it on the back side. And man, this is such better quality hardware than what came stock, but oh well. I think we're going to use those 2. Okay, pretty simple. Alright, the only thing I'm worried about is making it through the extra meat given by this skid plate here. But I had about this thickness, maybe a little more, of a bolt sticking out on this side using that long one to get to that nut. And that's the only thing I'm worried about until I put sway bars up here. I will be needing a longer bolt to make it through this plate, through the chassis plate, through the bulkhead, and then up into the nuts that are in the sway bar mounts. So I do need to keep an eye on that. If nothing else, I'll just use longer screws. I'll have to go find some at a hardware store. Alright, so what did I say? These 2 here. So, simple little trick when using this stuff is to find a drill bit that is the same size as your screw. And that one looks good. Just make sure there's not some type of weird shoulder up here. Okay, good. That's what we're going to be using. These are brad point. These are meant for wood. And we're just going to scratch this chassis up right here, put a nice little circle on it. There we go. And where is it at? Oops. There we go. Are you kidding me? What did I do? Dadgummit. Wrong one, ain't it? Yep, of course. Alright. Guys, just bear with me. I know I'm not doing this with the correct bits, and some of you guys are probably cringing right now. Let's try... Well, we got a little bit of a pilot started. Let's try these masonry bits. So for those of you wondering, no, these aren't going to work. They don't even have a cut. Like, they're not a sharp edge. Okay. Wood bits are a better bet. Wondering why I bought wood bits instead of aluminum bits. Because I've never bought drill bits before. So I didn't know what I was doing. These are the only 2 they had. And I was like, oh, one of them will work. And I just bought both. So that's why I've got 2. And just keep on going at it. There we go. Now we're getting a bite. Whoa! Alrighty. There we go. We are through the chassis. Nice. And we're going to start on this other one. We're going to bring that in just a hair. I think this bit's about toast. Aluminum also has a habit, and I know this because I watch a couple of machining channels on YouTube. Aluminum also has a habit, a very nasty habit, might I add, of sticking and almost kind of, in a way, welding itself to drill bits. Like that. You see how that is? That's a ring that got stuck on the end of this drill bit. Where am I? There we go. And kept it from biting. So that's why we lost our chip. Aluminum is a very nasty material to work with because it has a very nasty habit of clogging up the ends of your drill bits. I think it has something to do with its softness and melting temperature. It's more likely to melt and stick to your bit to other metals. So it makes it a little hard to work with aluminum sometimes, even soft stuff like this. So we're going through now. There it goes. There we go. 2 new holes in the chassis. So you can see where Rovin drills their stuff for their skid plate. A skid plate directly from Rovin, or a stiffening plate, would probably bolt right up. But these other ones have different dimensions. So you still got to drill. But that's not a very hard job at all, guys. It's actually pretty darn easy. Alright, we got our 2 bolts. We'll go ahead and put this up here. Oh man, check that out. So, dadgummit. Where am I off at? Okay, I'm off on this one over here. Damn, that sucks. I think I'm off on that one. Yeah, that really sucks because, well, mistakes, right? Somebody who's first time doing this. So what I've done is, when I marked, my plate had moved at some point, so my marks were off. So I got to take this hole here and widen it out. It's alright. This chassis is one of those cases where I was planning on buying a new one anyways. And you remember when I said, let's go ahead and move this, I was actually right on that. I didn't like that, and I'm glad I moved it, because if I wouldn't have, this wouldn't have lined up with this edge of the plate. So this hole is correct, this one's wrong, and you can even tell because this hole here, this one's a little further out. Not by much, but a little bit. And this one is dead even. So we're going to move this one out just a hair. If we can. Do I have... No. Okay. Alright, got it drilled. It's relatively flat. It's a little, just a tiny bit cockeyed in there, but I mean, I can't really do any more with it than that. It'll still be plenty strong enough. It'll still hold, and it's not like hanging out or ready to get hit by something. So if you kind of look at it here, you can tell it's kind of sticking up a bit. It should be okay. Alright. Alright, so I figured out how to get this done. So I actually had to take this toe link here off, just so that I could get my my wrench down in there. So we'll see if luck will smile upon me today and I can get this one to work the same way. There's the toe link. We're just going to bend that back. There we go. So that toe link right there is off. Now, when we steer this away, we got a clear shot right back there to that hole. And should hopefully have much better luck at getting through. Need to figure out when that, there we go. We're going to do this the same way we did last time. We're actually going to bring this, oh, not that far, there we go. Nope, not going to work that way. I'm going to have to turn this again. And I did on the other side. There we go. You know, something just occurred to me. I could use gravity to my advantage instead of fighting it. Probably make things a hell of a lot easier. What do you guys think, huh? Set it up on the table and use gravity to my advantage. Just lay the nut in the bottom of the chassis here and scoot it into place. Think that would make things easier, guys? I think it would make things a little easier. Move my phone up a little. There we go. Well, look at that. It's almost like that's the way to do it. That's a lot easier. I'm so sorry, guys. Y'all were probably screaming at me the whole time. Put the truck on the table! Are you retarded? No, I'm autistic. There's a difference. Seriously, guys, I'm sorry. Oh, that's embarrassing. And you see how much easier that wrench fit in there, too, once I, whoops. Let's move you guys back down. Right there. Is that good? Can y'all see? Where's my fingers? There we go. Oh, that's as far down as you guys will go. Oh, all right. Well, you guys are good. Okay, cool. There we go. I got a very one-track mind sometimes, so when I get stuck trying to make something work, it's like I'm on rails, so I don't always think of alternative ways to do things. And it didn't hit me until I realized, wait a minute, I could just set this thing on the table and scoot that dadgum nut right on into place, and I wouldn't have so many issues now, would I? Whoa, I just hit y'all with a screwdriver, huh? Now let's hope these line up once all this is said and done. So this effectively doubles the thickness of your chassis plate, and in theory makes everything a lot stronger. That's in theory. How's my steering? Ooh, boy. That is mighty close. But we're good. We're at the end of our throw, and we have no binding. So I think we're okay. Alrighty. Sweet. Now, you can tell, I think my chassis is already a bit bent, but that's okay. We'll be getting a new one eventually. I'm thinking about either going with the Rovin super lightened red chassis, because it'll match my body over here. It's got that red, white, and blue theme going on. Or something from IRC or Scorpion. Scorpion sounds like a nice chassis. IRC makes some really good parts. What I wish I could find for this truck is a billet aluminum chassis. But I don't know if they make one. That might be what the Kraken is made out of. It might be what the IRC is made out of, but usually billet looks like this chunk right here. It's nice and shiny. You can see all the machining marks in it and stuff like that. I'd love to find something like that for this front chassis. They make something for this from Modified RC, but this main chassis here, I wish I could find a billet one. And the only thing I've been able to find is actually the Losi style chassis for when you're building hybrid kits. And that's not what I want. It's not what I'm looking for, because this is not a hybrid. Are these? That's my new hardware. There's my old hardware. All this stuff for the cage. Oh yeah, okay, I remember now. So we should have 3 long bolts and 1 little short one like this. So where did they all, there they are. This is actually the one that goes through the chassis. So where does this one go? Where does this one go? What in the world? Alright, well, they're all the same size anyways. Oh, that's why. This is new hardware as well. Okay. That had me confused. These are new hardware. They're going over there. So we've got that one that goes into my good bolt hole, and this one that goes into my not so good bolt hole, which I think, if memory serves me correct, is on this side. Yeah, this right here bothers me. I don't like how off that is. Yeah, this chassis is definitely a little tweaked, guys. Alright, well, this will hold it over until I can get a better chassis, and I'm definitely going with like IRC or maybe Scorpion Unlimited. Is it Scorpion Unlimited or Scorpion Racing? I don't remember. I think it's Scorpion Unlimited if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Well, I need to bring this all the way in anyways so that I can remember whether or not this is my stripped screw. I don't want to be putting the bolt on the wrong one, right? Oh yeah, that's the stripped one. Yep, that's the stripped one. Okay. Now what I usually do with this, because you can't get anything else in there, is to hold this with a pair of needle nose and full lock this away to get that linkage out of the way, and then come in there. And the reason I don't use that little wrench for this is it won't fit. You've got this bulkhead here, and it's just enough space to keep that stupid wrench from fitting in there. So sadly, that little wrench that comes with this truck can't be used in this situation. Alright guys, got all this buttoned down. There was a little bit of finagling because, and you can't see it now because my mount for the cracking cage is back on, but this stock chassis is definitely tweaked, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you look at my stiffening plate here, you see how much is exposed there of the original chassis, and then you look over here. So this whole plate is actually off-centered, pushed that way. These screw holes up front here, this chassis needed to go further that way to get these holes lined up. So even though my drill, my holes are off and my alignment is off, and this plate is already that way, it needed to go more to get these holes lined up with the original chassis plate. So even though I messed up, as luck would have it, I messed up in a good way, just enough. I offset this plate just enough, just by luck or just dumb luck, whatever, just enough to make it able to get these holes in with just a little bit of. So what I did was I took an Allen wrench, put it in here, and torqued this away to scoot this plate, or to bend the main chassis back so that these bolts would go in. And then I actually used slightly longer bolts than what I needed, or what I had, because the ones I had were a bit too short. I'm running a thicker Kraken plastic skid plate. I'm running the chassis stiffening plate and then the original chassis here. So the bolts weren't quite long enough, so the ones I did have going through here, which were way too long anyways, they are not the ones that come with the Kraken cage. I used my own bolts because the bolts that came with this cage were just barely long enough to engage the nylock in the bolt, or the nut, I'm sorry. So I actually used the bolts I was using for that for up here. So you can see how they did make their way through. Alright, so that's what I did on that. If you're running this setup, you are going to need longer bolts for your front here. This setup being a Kraken cage, a chassis, and a chassis plate. You are going to need longer bolts for up here. And I even went ahead and put longer bolts through back here and actually nutted them in right back there where they come through, just for extra safety. I did it on both sides just to keep it nice and strong, because the bolts that were stock that come with this kit, this chassis stiffening plate, the stock bolts, I've already put them back in here, but I think it's those there. Nowhere near long enough to make it through a chassis, a stiffening plate, and this extra thick cracking plastic plate here, the skid plate. So keep that in mind, guys. If you're buying this kit and running a cracking cage, you're going to need longer bolts everywhere down here. You're going to have them. So just keep that in mind. And I don't know what size I used. I don't have a pair of calipers with me to measure with. Because I just don't. I do worry about these. These right here got sucked into this plate quite a bit. You can tell the difference front to back. But I did take them back out and look, and there is still quite a bit of plastic. I didn't suck them all the way through the plate, and it's still, I mean, it's plenty. It's plenty sturdy, I hope. So. And I'm not going to be jumping this truck like y'all seen another truck on this channel get jumped. I drove that thing for 5 minutes in that video, and I was like, yeah, airing this thing out like this is nuts. So hopefully I don't ever have any hard frontal impacts up there that would push these bolts the rest of the way through this plate. I don't ever plan on beating this thing that hard, right? A couple of rollovers, you know, but that's mostly going to be up here. Your cage mounts are here, so hopefully they'll take most of that impact instead of this. If you have some small metal washers and even longer screws than I have, just to increase the surface area in here, then you could put some small metal washers behind those bolts. Put them in. It'll keep it from pulling through the plastic as easily. But yeah, I had to do that because I didn't have any longer bolts than that. But, well, here, let's take one out. What the heck are you doing, drill? So you can see down in there how it kind of sucked the bolt into the plastic a little bit. But now that I look at it, it actually doesn't look like it did, really. It looks like... Have these always gone deeper in on this part than the back? Hold on, guys. I never paid attention to this. No, guys. I think that's normal. Okay. It looks normal, actually. Alright, cool. It might have sucked them down a little bit, but I don't think it's anything to be worried about. I was adjusting my clutch. Am I going the wrong way? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Alright. So our plastic skid plate's back on, our stiffening plate is on, our chassis is drilled, everything went together about as good as I could have hoped. A couple of complications just due to being my first time doing this. So I got to throw this big old cage back on, but before I do that, I bought me some thread lock, and I'm going to go back here and thread lock every single metal to metal bolt on this back end. But I'm not going to show you all that. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see y'all next time.